Today, we're sitting down with Brian Ravelo, also known as Big Apple Magic, an absolute legend in the South Florida automotive scene.
Brian is the brains behind Lamborghini of Palm Beach's explosive growth from 0 to over 1 million combined followers across social media, inspiring collabs with creators like Marquise Brownlee and Casey Neistat.
In this episode, we talk about Brian's creative process, overcoming visual impairment as a content creator, and the South Florida car scene as a whole. I'm Sal.
I'm Jacob.
And you're watching The SMO Show.
Welcome back to another episode of The SMO Show. Brian, thanks for coming on. Man.
Yeah, dude, thanks, Brian.
Thank you guys for having me.
It's been too long, man.
It's been years.
Oh, yeah.
It's been years.
How do you two know each other?
It's from back in high school, I believe. I was just surfing through YouTube, and I don't even know how the video came to my radar, but it was the viral video that you kind of made viral at the time. And it was a Temple Run. Yeah. You made like a real life version of Temple Run, and I noticed the colors of the school that you shot, and I'm like, oh, that's right down the street from where I live. So I shot you a message, and then that's kind of where the communication kind of started from. Correct. And then I just like, hey, I have a band and we're looking to do a music video. I was wondering if you're interested in kind of working together. What are your rates? And then right there, you're like, I'm just interested to collab and just meet people and do something just fun. And that's kind of how the relationship started, right?
Yeah, definitely. I just wanted to, I was learning the camera. I just wanted to go out there and shoot as much as possible. I didn't really have like a niche that I was tailoring to, but I just wanted to, try out different things. And you seem like a cool guy. I'm like, for sure, let's do it. Yeah.
Thank God.
You're a good character. I'm a cool guy, man.
I know. Yes, he thought I was cool.
Yeah.
But that's the thing that kind of, I wouldn't say fooled me, but just looking at him like, this is someone who's just so legit and dialed into his craft. But it was like the beginning stages of all of our kind of careers of what we wanted to do. And that was back in 2011, 2012?
2012,
yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
It was nuts.
You did
my first band, shout out to Joey Caldereo, Medallion.
Yes,
yeah,
Medallion.
One of the first music videos we did.
Like two of them.
We did.
Superman, right?
Yeah, we did Superman when the Jupiter Sandbar used to do all those shows. Dude, remember that? How nuts that was?
Yeah, that was my first time. And probably my only time that I ever gone there.
Dude, that was crazy. We took all these boats out, and then we had to go all to the stage. The water's up to here, so we're holding all of our amps, our equipment. I'm looking back at Brian. I'm like, hope he's not dropping anything.
Please don't drop nothing.
Well, no, it was an experience.
Yeah,
Definitely.
dude, it was
cool.
It was fun. But even with that viral video moment, I say viral loosely because. Yeah. At the time, it was I think you averaged around 1 million views on that video.
It grew to 1 million in less than a month.
Yeah,
it was very quick, and now sits over 5 million, which in today's numbers that's nothing crazy. But back in 2012, it was kind of unheard of.
That's an OG viral video. I had a video of a friend breaking his wrist falling off of a roof one time.
Oh, wow.
That same thing, in 2012 or something, hit 1 million views, and once you get that number, you're like, I did it. I killed the internet. I'm a legend in this. Yeah. And then you look at it now and you're like, you see 20, 30, 100 million views, or like we were talking about Mr. Beast earlier, Correct. 200 million views on a video.
It's about consistency.
Yeah.
You have to keep putting those numbers up. And that's 100%.
So even going back to that video, so Temple Run, how did that concept even come about?
I just remember at the time, Temple Run everyone was playing it. Everyone was playing it.
It's like Temple Run Angry Birds. That was such an era of that time.
Was it Fruit Ninja or something?
Yes, Oh, yeah.
Remember that one with the swiping?
Yeah.
And at the time, I didn't really have a lot of gear. I had just gotten my GoPro Hero 2. So I'm like, let me just throw this on a monopod and just run behind some kid. And let's see what we can do. And it was during lunchtime. So we did that, and I did 2 versions of it. And I tried to do it because at the time I was messing with After Effects because back in the day, this one YouTuber, Freddie Wong, I don't know if you remember.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
I just grew up
the
watching.
GOAT.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He left YouTube. I think he's doing China's YouTube now.
Oh, interesting.
But he doesn't do YouTube anymore. But I got a lot of inspiration from him, with his After Effects, and I tried to do some sort of effects in there. It wasn't the best, but it was something to practice on.
You got to start somewhere. It's like, how did you go from picking up a camera to understanding how to organize the shots to make like your own POV version of Temple Run.
Oh, I'm trying to remember. I don't know. Oh, actually, yes. Storyboarding.
Okay.
I remember like in class, I still have the original paper. I drew out different blocks and I'm like, okay, these are going to be the shots. And I kind of pre-planned it, which is kind of the best way to make a video is you always have to go in with a plan.
All that pre-production helps.
Correct. Yeah. Even today. So just basically coming up with a shot list and getting the actors involved, my friends back in the day, and just getting it done.
Were you in like a TV Pro class during this?
The only time I was in TV production was my senior year.
Okay.
And I was so like I was already so deep into video. The teacher was awesome. Shout out Miss Potts. She just kind of let me roam free and do my thing because she knew I would all the regular tasks or like things that the other kids had to do. She knew I would surpass it. So I even created my own because the school had like a TV show during lunchtime. Mm-hmm. I even created my own segment, kind of mirroring that Ray William Johnson. Remember him back in the day?
Yeah, wow. Dude, we're really throwing it back. I love it.
So I would have kids come in and kind of will play like viral videos at the time, obviously PG rated.
Yeah.
And they would give their comments or little funny feedbacks.
Yeah, like commentary videos.
Correct. Yeah.
That's really cool.
And the Kids React was, I remember, popular at that
Kids
time
React,
too.
yeah.
Yeah, it's coming back to me now. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of OG YouTube stuff.
It's funny. I had a very similar experience in TV Pro where it was like, because I started out filming skateboarding videos like very early on with like a Canon GL2. And, I think you mentioned T2i earlier.
That's what, yes.
That was my first DSLR. But I had a very similar experience. You get into TV Pro and it's like all the kids are learning about like
cutting.
This is how you cut a video. This is where the audio spikes here. You start before there. And I was always my teacher just kind of let me roam free and work on, whatever I wanted to.
Exactly, yeah.
I think TV Pro teachers are a very underrated.
Yeah, shout out to them for
teacher.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, it's good that you guys had some good educators too that impacted and inspired. Did
100%.
you was that like your first video project, or were you doing stuff before kind of that moment? So what led to that?
Well, going back like my freshman, sophomore year, I was given a lot of creative projects from different teachers, from biology to American government. And, they're creative projects, so you can present a topic in any way you want. So I would actually create music videos explaining certain topics, like, in biology, like the cells, this and that. And that's how I kind of started messing around with video. But before then, I would film myself doing magic tricks. That was like middle school going into high school. But then I kind of dropped it because magic. No.
Magic's pretty cool, man.
It is, but it's you have to really practice it. If not, you lose your touch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you really have to dedicate yourself to the magic.
Yeah,
because there's so many moving parts in it, and it's like you mess one thing up, it can ruin the entire trick.
Exactly. Yeah.
What were some of your best tricks?
There's still some that I know today, like just simple card tricks. I really tried to learn a lot of like I forget what it's called, but just like maneuvering cards, like a deck of cards, and doing like crazy designs with them. It's just you need a lot of dexterity for that. Putting a pen through a dollar bill, or I always wanted to get the fire wallet. Like you open up your wallet and it's like a fire.
Oh,
but it's like
like the flash paper.
Yeah, it's like a little
sick.
gimmicky.
Yeah.
But making stuff flow, but yeah.
Those are pretty cool party tricks and just skills to probably still have to pull out. Be like,
for sure.
Do you ever pull them out still?
It's been a while.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
Well, we have this deck of cards. No,
I should have brought
do
a
it
deck
right
of cards.
now.
Do we have a deck of cards here?
No.
No. Skip out.
The quality of the cards probably plays an effect to it, right? You can't just get something cheap. You have to probably get something particular.
Correct. Yeah, and you can there's some cards that are obviously fixed for certain tricks. But I still have I still have all of my cards like over 20
Oh,
decks.
really?
And it's just nice to have. Some they don't even make anymore, so it's cool.
That's cool. I always liked just seeing the different types of playing cards and the different designs. And like I'd go to like the like Barnes and Noble or something. They have all the whole like rows of cards, and just seeing like, oh, this one's really cool. It's just a regular deck of cards, but like the colors are nice. And I noticed it's a thing. I watch. I think his name's Chris Ramsey on YouTube.
Okay.
He's a magician and he does like puzzles. And he's got like hundreds of decks of cards. I'm like, what do you need all of those for?
Just becomes a collector piece.
I thought you were talking about Gordon Ramsay, like the
Gordon-
chef. The chef.
Oh yeah, Gordon Ramsay. Yeah.
His puzzles are crazy though. I've seen a few of his videos. Yeah.
Did you from Magic to Temple Run? What's the process after that looking like? So you have like kind of this viral video moment. Did you have some sort of like click in your head where like I have something here with YouTube, or just creating videos or collaborating with friends?
I wouldn't say like a click. I would have taken more advantage of it at the time, but I did, do other videos like the different trends back in the day, like Harlem Shake. Oh, yeah. I did that at school. The Gangnam Style. Back in the time, we recreated the music video in school.
That's fun.
So I have a lot of cool memories to look back on.
Oh, sure. Yeah. So after high school, did you pick up the camera and just kind of go on to your next venture with it, or how did you move on from there?
Well, I want to say after high school was a very crucial point. People were going off to college, this and that. So I tried out community college for a while. And then, I got into the whole Lamborghini thing, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. But the most crucial part, I would say, is one of my cousins. He introduced me to the automotive scene, which I had no idea existed. I really didn't know anything about cars. Just going to my first event, like at the end of 2014, 2015. And from there, I just fell in love with the automotive scene and what it stands for. Well, back in the day.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. When he invited you out, did he say, bring your camera, by the way? Or did you just kind of like, hey, I'm doing this thing, cousin, you want to come hang out?
Correct. Yeah. I just brought everything because I knew I needed to. I just felt that hunger to create. So I would, to events, I would bring my T2i, tripod, and a slider.
Oh, nice.
Ooh,
yeah.
The slider.
A slider, yeah.
Get
manual
real low
one.
and do.
Correct, yeah. Get the wheel shot.
Oh yeah. That's nice.
I was gonna say, approaching that, did you have any sort of creative process, or you're just like, I'm going out here, having fun, bring my camera, I'm just gonna shoot whatever I can?
Correct. I would just go out there, set up my camera, get all the shots, film the event. Obviously, as a novice, no one knew who I was. The organizers, I'm just doing this for free, just content for my page. And then I noticed after recording one of the events the following year, after it did so well, I went back the following year, and then it's just seeing people start to recognize me, say, bam, So that was a cool feeling, like I was doing something right. Yeah.
The name BAM, and even Big Apple Magic, so that comes from being a magician, right?
Correct, the magic part.
Yeah.
And Big Apple was because I was born in New York.
Ah.
Yeah, so I just kind of put the two together. But everyone calls me Bam.
Did the name start from the Magic channel, or was it the Magic content?
I had a channel before my current channel, and that's where I would upload all the Magic stuff. And then I decided to make a fresh one, kind of redesign, rebrand myself. It came about in high school. From there I've had the channel.
Gotcha.
Basically, yeah.
Makes a lot of sense.
That's what's up. Going through these car shows, first one, kind of walk me through that. Were you nervous? Were you just kind of the only guy with a camera? Because back then, what was it, like 2013? I would imagine
2014. 2014.
So even the culture of just using the word creating content, I mean, that wasn't really as just public. I don't even know if that's even the right word to say, but compared to now, where you go to an event, it's normal to kind of see people DSLRs and cameras capturing gimbals and everything.
Back in the day, there was only a few creators out there, like well-known, Crispy being one of them. These are guys in the automotive scene, Halcyon, Mike Cozio. These are guys that are still doing their thing even beyond that, like they're in the music video world and stuff. So it's pretty cool that they all had the same beginnings. But back in the day at those shows, you're right, there wasn't a lot of people creating content. You had people taking photography and stuff, but with the video stuff, it was a very small number.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially too. So shooting your first car event and then coming back, editing it, and then sending it out, did you get instant gratification? And was that when it was like, this is something cool that I want to kind of keep doing more?
Yes, definitely. What they say with like the whole social media, the likes, the comment is like a serotonin.
Right.
You
Yeah.
keep chasing it.
Yeah.
So definitely, like back then, I believe Instagram only allowed like 15-second clips before they increased it to like a minute. So I would do 15-second clips, but with like crazy edits, like if you had a seizure, we're epileptic.
Yeah, you're warned. Yeah, we'll warn him before.
So I kind of learned from then to, kind of relax with the editing, and it's been more chill. But now I see that editing style is coming back with like the crazy effects, the speed ramps, this and that. So
yeah, with a lot of like
back.
the neon, light blurs and
correct.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Long exposures too, and content I've seen some people do where they like, still image and then just wrap the whole car in like some crazy lights.
Yeah.
I always like that.
Did you have a process doing that before, or did you watch any car videos for inspiration to edit, or you just like walked in blindly, like I'm just gonna edit how I want to and just have some fun with it and just take it from there?
Yeah, for me, everything kind of stemmed from the music. So back then, I was like a lot into EDM, like that type of fast-paced music. So I would kind of base the edit around that, and a lot of my first videos were just a lot of that music.
Based around whatever the popular song was at the time, just lining it up with the beat.
Correct.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's crazy editing videos back then to now with before there wasn't really much copyright strikes or anything. You can really just throw a video up, do it, have it sit there pretty and be nice, and now you get notifications where it's like, oh, my video's taken down because of
Years later.
Yeah, right, years later. Exactly.
Yeah, I used one song. I used one Limp Bizkit song, and now I'm done.
That's it. It's a wrap.
Oh my gosh. What do you use music for now for stuff? Just
I just usually just on SoundCloud. I just spend a lot of time try to find those low key artists, even like simple beats, nothing too crazy. Or if it's like for other clients, Audio Jungle, I purchase beats for certain projects.
For corporate pieces of work, I'm sure you have to really look out for copyright music.
Correct.
Do you ever have to go through like the clearance process through a label of getting like, there's one song that you really want to use and you have to actually go through getting it cleared?
I try to avoid that because that sounds like a super long process, and once I shoot something, I want to get it out.
Right.
Yeah.
Even shooting something, do you have kind of the audio foundation in your head where it's like, I wanted to kind of be like this, or does it come alive more in the edit?
It definitely comes alive more in the edit, but if I do go into a shoot knowing what song I'm going to use, then it makes the process a lot easier.
Yeah.
Because that's always the hardest part, is finding the track.
Exactly. Yeah, there's even shooting food content. There's like a vibe that all kind of come in. If it's like really kind of relaxed, it really hits the South Florida theme. And if I'm listening to some reggae in the car and I'm kind of like carrying that mood, I feel like the mood's there too. I'll have kind of that feeling almost as I'm shooting too. And then I agree completely with you kind of as it comes alive in the edit, because you're shooting, you're seeing the shots on the screen too, and you're kind of going back and forth with it, and it just really kind of creates itself. But after shooting your first one, doing really well, and how did more kind of come about? Did you just kind of get invited to more and more events?
It was just like the group I was hanging around with. They were big car guys. They had all their cars like modified, so I kind of just was hanging around with them. And then, it's like November time was very iconic, especially in Florida back in the day. Simply Clean, which was a big show in Daytona. It no longer happens because they kind of outgrew the space. And, after the pandemic, they kind of shut everything down. But from there, we just started hitting up different shows because there's a lot of shows, a big automotive scene in Florida.
Really?
Yes, especially now. It's like a show every month. Really.
There's a huge automotive scene down here, especially down south, too. And you start getting like, southern Palm Beach County into like Broward, Dade.
Yeah.
The car scene is just explosive. You always see videos, from people. And South Florida, for some reason, just attracts the most wild cars, too.
And characters, too, I bet.
100%. But it's just some of like if you're a hypercar guy or a supercar guy, like you see a ton of those. Or if you're like a stanced or, modified car guy, you see a ton of those, too.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Like last week, I just shot for the first time, I think, a R34 Skyline, which is like one of my bucket list cars to shoot.
Oh, nice.
So that was very, very cool.
I saw on your Instagram you were shooting a Rimac too.
Oh yes, I wanted to talk about that.
Cool.
Yeah, because we're a dealership for them.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
We were looking through the inventory before you got in here today, and I noticed that there were a couple like 2024 Lotuses on there.
Correct, because we're actively taking orders. So we have Lamborghini Palm Beach. We have Lotus, a brand. We have Radford. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's a coach building brand.
I've never heard of them.
I'll show you a picture afterwards.
That's cool.
It's a very cool car. They actually, I think, did a record at Pikes Peak, which was very good for the brand. Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, that's
awesome.
great for the brand. That's like the best. It's like Le Mans or like
Correct, yeah.
fastest time around the Nürburgring.
The car looks so sick too.
That's cool. I've never even heard of it. I'll have to check it out. How did you go from being like local car scene videographer, just kind of shooting with friends and family, to like that segue of jumping into, I mean, arguably like one of the biggest corporate positions that you can for one of the, a huge legacy brand like Lamborghini?
So I'll run through the story real quick. I'm sure you guys are familiar with the Supercar Week.
Of course.
Every January that comes around. So back in like 2015, January, I was just shooting video there for myself just to get the content. And I met the Lamborghini Palm Beach was there. I had no connection to them at the time. So I met up with the general manager. I gave him one of my cards. That was a Sunday. I went back in on Tuesday, I remember, to the dealership, and I showed him the video I made from that event. And then we kind of just clicked. And then he said, hey, why don't you stop by and take some inventory pictures? So I kind of started working there as a contractor, coming in, taking inventory pictures of all the cars, and then leaving, doing my other things, schooling and whatnot.
Was your goal to work there, to work at Lamborghini, or to work at, a dealership, or was it just making the connection? Because you said you came back in on that Tuesday to show them that video, which is something that a lot of people don't do. People don't do the follow-up. Follow-up is so important in business.
Yes.
What made you, was it planned that you were going to go back in on Tuesday, like you wanted the job, or was it?
I don't know why. I just was so excited about what I created. I just wanted to show someone.
That's
and
cool.
I just hit it off with the manager. I'm like, hey, let me just show you what I made. Because he was also, he had some sort of knowledge of photography and this and that. So we kind of related on that level as well.
That's cool. You said that was in what year?
2015.
2015. So that's like the year that companies really started looking at social media as a tool that they could use to sell more cars or, have a bigger presence for their business. So it's cool that, a company like Lamborghini or that, Lamborghini Palm Beach had that foresight to think like, oh, wow, this guy creates really good content. Like, we need to work with him a little bit more.
Exactly. And then it wasn't until like 2016 when their new manager came into play. He just outright offered me a full-time position to kind of take over the digital marketing and stuff and grow their social media. And I've been there ever since, thanks to him.
Yeah. So besides even the creating content, what you're able to do with a camera, I mean, your knowledge and your expertise on social media and social platforms, did they know that when approaching you and talking to you about positions?
I had brought up the Temple Run, and
hell yeah,
they've seen the the numbers. So I kind of brought that knowledge over to their social sites.
Which is huge because there's a lot of, there's kind of like two pieces to it. There's like, and Jacob and I talk about it all the time. There's like the creation side and then the distribution side. There's like somebody creates the content and then somebody puts it in front of more people. And it's rare to find somebody with the ability to have both, where you're really good at creating it and really good at getting it
in a very
in front of
cohesive way too.
Yeah.
Correct, yeah.
And so it's cool that like, somebody like yourself has both to be able to have the eye for the creative side, but also have the eye of like, okay, I know this is going to perform well on social, or if Lamborghini wants to use this as an ad, I know that this shot is going to hook somebody in to want to watch it longer.
Exactly.
It's cool.
Especially, you didn't really know much about cars before, and then fast forward, did you feel any sort of, what do the kids call it, imposter syndrome? Did you feel anything in that regard where it's like...
In the beginning, yes, it's a very shock factor because you're hanging around these cars that are thousands and thousands of dollars. But, after being there for so many years, it's just a car. A car is a basic tool that gets you from point A to point B. Some are more beautiful and others not. But it's just about capturing the right angles and, just learning more about them. That's all.
Over time, did you know what were the right angles? What was the right lenses that you would use? And you kind of had this process of elimination as you're approaching every new shoot that you do?
Yes, it was just a lot of trial and error, trying different lenses, different angles, different times of day. The whole light painting stuff at nighttime too.
Oh yeah.
It's just like I said, you just gotta go out there and try, and if it works, you just stick with it.
So what's your go-to setup right now? So if we would walk out in the parking lot right now and just shoot my Toyota RAV4 and just make it look clean, sexy, nice, nothing too flashy.
It would definitely be like my Sony A7R II, a great still camera. I pair it with, I love the Sigma 35mm 1.4 art lens, a nice crisp lens, prime. And obviously you can't forget a good polarizer. Because when you shoot a car, it's very important to have a polarizer. That way you cut off all that glare. And
for the polarizer, is that when you put it on so it doesn't reflect, you can see the reflection on the mirror? Is that what you're talking about?
It's so if you shoot a car like straight on, if you see the windshield, it's going to be all white. Right. But with the circular polarizer, you start to twist it and it cuts that reflection. So you can see directly inside the car nice and clean. Yeah, it cuts out reflections basically.
It's pretty cool. I've noticed something with, I mean, always noticed about Lamborghini that not only have they been on they've always been more eccentric. So you look at a Ferrari and it's like you have, you could get a red, yellow, black, or white one. It's kind of like your color palette with them. But with Lamborghini, it's always been, the bright purples or the pinks or the lime greens or the oranges. Do you think that, you've seen an evolution from like you go back to like the Countages or the Diablos where they had the bright colors and the interiors were, like pretty basic to now you see a lot more bright colors on the interior. Do you think that Lamborghini corporate is like speccing these cars out for dealerships because they know that they'll do better on social or in, from people posting them?
Well, it's all thanks to the it's called the Lamborghini Ad Personam program. That's when someone can come in and customize a car to their liking. And the beautiful thing is, like every year, I notice they're adding new colors, which is great for customers. So with that, you're able to unlock like the purples, the matte colors. I even seen gold cars straight from factory. It's pretty sick.
Yeah, they have like a matte gold now that I've seen. That's really cool.
Bronzo Cenas, I believe it's
I
called.
love their names.
Yeah.
Grigio Telesto.
Correct.
What's the Rosa Parsafe or something like that?
Viola Parsafe.
Viola Parsafe.
That's one of my
purple.
favorites.
Like you're saying Rosa Parks. I'm like, she got a color named after her. That's incredible.
Yeah, she's got a Lambo color.
Do you have a personal preference as far as like shooting, or is it really just you can make anything look nice? I don't know if you have a preference of cooler tones, warmer tones, something crazy exotic.
Since most of the time I'm very limited to like shooting a car at the store,
Right.
So I'm very limited like on the sunlight. So obviously if it's towards sunset, I like the warmer tones. But I just basically try to shoot it and just represent the car as it is.
Right, because that pre-production that you were talking about earlier probably plays such a big effect because all the shots that you have seems very thoughtful. It doesn't seem like you just pull the car somewhere like I'm going to make this look good really quick and then dip out.
Correct. I try to avoid the Florida sun as much as I can.
Amen.
Yeah, it's rough.
Do you guys have a studio that you shoot in there?
No. If you see our inventory pictures online, it's literally out front with the building in the back, and it's middle of the day.
I know exactly what inventory pictures you're talking about.
Other stores have studios, but we don't have one, no.
Yeah, I've seen some dealerships have like the drive-in studio where they have like, the infinity white wall.
It's gorgeous.
So cool to see that.
But we've seen a lot of positive impact for using our location because it just tends to be a brighter photo, and you're seeing the car outside.
Yeah.
So it's cool.
And for the selling point, I feel like that's kind of nice as you're just scrolling through and you see that shot at the location. I feel like that kind of inclines more of the consumer to go there.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you can see from the photos usually something peeking out in the showroom behind it, and you're like, ooh, what's that back
you
there?
see all the cars in the background.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I saw that you posted Threads. Where I'm on Threads. I posted my first thread even before we got here. I saw the car that you posted was from 1983?
1986.
86?
What was it? Countach.
Beautiful car.
We have it in the showroom right now. And in the background, the gold wheel, that's actually one of 112 new Countach, the new one that was just released.
I saw that recently. They only made would you say 112 of them?
112 in the world, yeah.
It's cool that they redid that body style, but still kept very similar like body lines and shaping compared to the 80s. It's cool to see. Are you a big Lamborghini fan? Are you a big supercar fan, or by proxy from working there, you've become a Lamborghini
Correct.
fan?
Just by working there, like learning the history and just knowing what the brand's about, I've become a big fan. And if I am able to in the future, I definitely do have a yearning to own one day. Definitely.
Which one would you own if out of the selection that you could choose from right now? What would you own?
Of like what's been released so far?
from the beginning to release now.
For something that's like more daily drivable, it would probably be like a Huracan Performante 2018. It's just there's nothing like it. I mean, it's just a little bit more raw compared to the cars now. It's just they had the fixed wing, the center mounted exhaust. Gorgeous car.
That was when they first started releasing the forged carbon on those cars.
Correct.
With the Performante.
Yes, which a lot of people thought was like it looked kind of dirty.
Yeah.
And it kind of looks like marble, but Lamborghini has kind of put it away, the forged carbon.
Yeah, I've noticed they keep it like in the engine bay. It's always under. It's hidden. But like on that car specifically that you're talking about, I remember it was like when they first brought it out. They had it in the wing. They had it in the side skirts. It's cool to see them. Kind of they were kind of groundbreaking with that technology of,
especially with carbon fiber.
Yeah.
With the whole Aventador back in 2012 with the monocoque.
Yeah.
That was a big step for them.
I forgot that they were one of the first people to do like a monocoque, fully out of carbon on the Aventador.
So what does that run for? Price wise.
Which one?
Which one?
Your dream car.
Probably nowadays, depends on the market, but for a good low mileage Performante, like over 3, I want to say.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Got to be over 3. Would you do a Spider or a coupe?
Coupe.
Coupe? Yeah, you got to do a coupe.
I don't know if you're aware of this, but coupes have a little bit more room inside. And then we always do like a little mod to like the seats. Gives clients a little bit more room in the Spiders.
Oh, I didn't know
So
that they moved the seat
a little bit
frame
back.
That's
Yeah,
pretty
yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
They're pretty tight in there. I've driven a LP640, I think -2, maybe
Yeah.
-4. Is it
Okay.
a -2 or -4? It was it was rear wheel drive.
It's a -2.
It was a -2. Okay. Yeah, they're tight in there. Like I'm
Yeah.
not even that tall, and I'm like around 6 foot. And they're pretty tight in
With
there.
the coupe or the Spider?
It was a coupe.
Coupe, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little bit, it's a little
A
tight.
little snug.
When starting off shooting these cars, were you kind of nervous or just in your head a little bit where it's like, I'm around some pretty nice, expensive things. I got to make sure that I am not going to have a freak accident of any kind or...
Going in there at such a young age, you have to be very calm because I've heard stories of like other kids my age at the time shooting exotic cars and just being a little bit too crazy. And that's what I feel like has given me that longevity there because you just have to be very careful, especially taking cars off property, not just driving yourself, but other people around the road. Because sometimes people are like, they get too caught up looking at the car that, something might happen. So it's just, having a calm head and just realizing what you're driving.
That's the best piece of advice because, I mean, besides getting either like overexcited or anxious, I mean, even this podcast that we're doing, having like certain guests where it's just like really cool, really exciting, then you're too much in your own head and it's almost like counterproductive for what you're actually doing. But
Exactly.
Do you have tricks and tips to stay calm during stuff, or are you just like, you kind of just remind yourself, I'm just taking photos, cars that goes A to B to Z?
The most important thing I would say is have a pre-plan. For example, if I'm taking something off property to shoot, have my location set, have my route. If I'm bringing someone, make sure we have constant communication. Little things like that. That way everything goes smoothly and there's no hiccups.
That is like the best piece of pre-production advice you could
Yeah.
possibly give, as simple as it is.
Sense. It's interesting, like you were saying about, like you have to respect the vehicle and you have to respect it. And it's, when you were young, how old I don't know how old you are now.
I'm 27.
So you're 27. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're like a 20-year-old kid coming into Lamborghini and, you're looking
Yeah.
at all these cars that are like way out of the price range, a lot of people's dream cars. And it's like, it takes a certain personality type to be able to go in there and see the cars, treat them with respect, not get, oh my gosh, that's a Huracan, that's a Aventador.
Yeah.
It's like you go in and you're calculated, you're calm, and you're like, oh, okay, this is just part of the job. It's like a tool of the of the trade.
Correct.
But okay.
Yeah, I mean, I do see that a lot. Like, you have to understand we have a lot of tourists that come. So it's natural to see their reaction that way because they're not around these cars every day. But, over time, I still love the cars, but I'm around them every day. So like I said, it's just a car. So you still have to respect it. And, any little thing can happen and you just try to avoid it.
Has any little thing has
No,
happened?
of course. I'll be honest. There have been some, little damages here and there. But the most important thing when it comes to that, at any dealership really, is just being honest and straightforward from the get-go and making sure everything gets taken care of. But yeah, there's been caused a little bit of damage.
You have personally?
Yeah.
With camera gear or taking a car off property or?
No, just like driving around the lot or something. Just like you always have to keep that calmness and also be aware and kind of slow down. That way you don't mess up.
Yeah, really almost have to overanalyze. Like, okay, if I pull up to this curb, am I going to be a little too close? What happens when I open the door,
For example, in our back lot, we have a white wall with like some lighting, and that used to be the studio. And if you see it, there's like 2 black poles because there's a awning on top. And I would have to, back in the day, I would have to drive a car in and then move it like 8 different positions around there. And even cars that were stick shift. And at the time, I had no idea how to drive stick shift. I actually learned driving cars around the lot, like Aston Martins, Porsches, which is cool.
I'm glad they gave you the Aston Martins and the Porsches.
Yeah,
Learn on this.
But it's like we were such a small team back in the day. I can't wait for someone to come move the car for me, so I got to figure it out,
Right?
because I got to get the job done and just keep it moving. But yeah, those poles. And imagine it's like a little bit of an incline. So back in the day, just moving cars around. Sometimes something happens,
Yeah.
Just have to be aware and be straightforward with them.
You know how to drive stick, right?
I do know how to drive stick.
Dude, that's how I did not get a valet job. I was just,
really?
back in the day, just trying to get just as much free jobs as I can during like season, off season stuff. I had like this valet job, like pretty much in the bag. And then she's like, great, love you. You're personable. You seem respectable of other people's things. You drive stick, obviously, right? I'm like, no. She's like, learn and call me back. And then I just
shift is one of those things where it's like once you learn how to do it, it becomes like riding a bike.
Right.
It's like you can't forget how to drive stick.
Yeah, each car is different though. That's for sure.
Really?
100%.
Yeah. Recently there was a little car meet local to my home, and for the first time I drove a right-hand drive like Sylvia, and I'm talking to the owner. I'm like, where's reverse? Because everything is different.
Yeah,
everything's
But it was a cool experience.
When you say home, you're talking about Florida, New York? Or?
No, here.
Okay.
Car meet here locally. Yeah.
I just thought of this, but did you ever go back to New York and visit kind of where you're from?
Yes, actually, back in like when I first started, like 2015 through like let's say 2017, I would go up to New York every summer. Mm-hmm. I kind of stopped. Definitely need to go back, but I would go there with all my equipment, sometimes for just for a show, but I would just get a bunch of cars together and we would just do like an after movie. And I kind of miss those days of just getting people together and traveling and doing what I love.
Dude, changing the pace and just the creative eye and mind too. I feel like it just opens up so much more when you're just getting out of like your hometown and just kind of the stuff that you're used to from like the work and free flow stuff, but just being somewhere whole new other environment too. I mean, I just got back from Texas from like a family trip, and just being there, I just kind of just envisioned certain things, different ideas that I wasn't really thinking about before. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, you become more creative. It's a new environment, so you just want to capture everything.
Yeah, even talking to new people, like I bet you get to meet besides the characters, but you probably get to meet some really interesting, fascinating, rememberable people walking in every day.
Definitely have made a lot of friends from New York, California, just either on the internet or meeting them in person when I travel there. Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Have you been on any of the supercar rallies like Gold Rush or Gumball or any of those?
I just won, but years ago, and it wasn't one of the big ones. It was just like from here to Orlando.
Oh, that's cool.
But it was still a cool experience. It's definitely a lot of work. It's more than a one-person job.
Yeah, it's definitely not just getting in the car and driving. I see like behind the scenes of like Gumball or Gold Rush, and they have like whole teams and support staffs, and especially from a media side, they have like whole media support vehicles full of the team with the cameras, and there's somebody that's got to be there to edit, to upload, to keep people updated with like being along the way. Does Lambo Palm Beach participate in any of those ever?
No, we do little local rallies within our area for clients. We have many events. Beginning of the year, we usually do polo runs, so people meet at our store, and then we go out to polo fields for polo. We kind of tailgate, cater. It's a real nice event. People love it.
That's cool.
Oh, I've seen the stories of you at polo, and I'm like, why are you at polo? And then I see them like, oh, makes sense.
Yeah. So we usually do like 3 or 4 a year in the beginning. It's nice.
I've kind of liked that about I don't know if it's Lamborghini as a whole or just Lamborghini Palm Beach, but it's like it feels very community oriented. It doesn't feel like a huge, flashy supercar brand. Like when I think of Lamborghini Palm Beach specifically, I think of like the local community, Lamborghini purveyor. And it's like you see videos or you see photos, and it always just looks like a nice, like respectful, kind of chill environment.
Yeah. It's kind of like a little club. When you enter, we like to call it Welcome to the Family.
That's dope.
So then we have events either at the store or like little rallies, and we just try to incorporate as many clients as we can that are able to join us, because a lot of them travel and are no longer here.
Besides like the clients, the fandom, I guess, too, and the followers of that. But even on the more creative side with collaborations, I've seen that you've got to collaborate with some influencers or people in the digital space a little bit.
Yes.
Do you want to share any story?
It was 2018, maybe in 2019. It was with Marquez, MKBHD, big tech YouTuber, and Casey Neistat. It just worked out. Like everything aligned for that to happen. definitely. The way it came about is I was emailing Marquez because he was starting the autofocus stuff. And I'm like, hey, why don't you come out and let's talk about Apple CarPlay and Android Auto like in an Aventador. So he
Did you plan doing that, or you just saw the opportunity and it just clicked? You're like, I'm just going to send this message.
Just send the message, and I was surprised when he wrote back. Yeah, definitely.
That's what's up.
That's always the best feeling when you kind of like send out, you know, the fishing line and you're like, I don't know if this person's going to answer, but I have this idea. I need to get it out of my brain and like get it to the person that could do something with it. And then they answer and you're like, wait, what do I do now? What's next?
Like, contact corporate, let them know what we're doing, because everything always has to go through the appropriate avenues. That way everyone is aware. But it was, I still remember the video. They took like a little private jet here, and it worked out perfectly because I believe he explained it was an empty leg. So that's why Casey was able to come. And it was very cool to meet, especially Marquez's team. Great guys. Still follow them. And just to see how he works, it's very cool.
Do they come through with a huge entourage or like a big team?
Marquez came with 3 guys. And then Casey just, being Casey by himself.
Solo.
Yeah.
Solo with the Ray-Bans on and a DSLR, and that's it.
And the boosted board.
Yeah. Did he bring a boosted board?
I believe so, yeah.
That's awesome.
That's such a Casey Neistat, like 2017, 2018 eras, like the boosted board.
Iconic. It's crazy that brand no longer exists.
I know. Yeah.
I was watching one of his recent vlogs where he was talking about that, and he's like, I have a stockpile of like every boosted board, every battery, all the wheels, all the motors. So like if something breaks, he can always fix it, at least for the near time being.
Yeah.
Did you guys were you able to converse a little bit more? Because I mean, even going back to it comes alive in the edit, that's actually something Casey Neistat would say as he filmed something. The video, the idea would really kind of come alive in the edit. So I don't know, were you able to pick his brain a little bit on any of the creative process? Or you kind of stuck to business a little bit?
Correct. It was just such a quick day.
Right.
And he was out the next day. Like he was in and out. So there wasn't much really time for that, but it was just cool to see the process of how he, I remember there was a part where he was working his drone and it went down like around like a fairway, and just him picking up his camera, and then he just starts vlogging about it. And then seeing it afterwards, like on YouTube, is like crazy how everything.
It's amazing. I mean, even just being in the room, even being in the situation, just seeing how these people operate and work, and through even situations like that too. Oh no, drone's going down. How is he going to kind of like react to it? I mean, being around different production teams and musicians. I remember one production company, I was like overhearing some like the people talk about, hey, we have a power issue going on in this, and hey, this camera's not really working in this. What do you want me to do? This. I heard everything working against them. No one raised their voice at each other. No one cussed at each other. Everyone just kind of stayed calm and collective, and there was always a solution for the problem, and they were able to kind of shoot right on time, and it was really cool to watch and see.
Very nice.
It's cool to see that with like big productions, because it's like kind of like two different styles, right? Like the big production, you're like behind the fourth wall. You don't exist. You're just there to make sure that the talent and like everybody on the other side of the lens is doing the right thing. But then you have like somebody like Casey Neistat rolling out solo. It's like he's there to make content. And it's like if the drone goes down, he could be like, oh shit, I couldn't get this shot. It's going to ruin the whole vlog. But instead he's like, okay, this is vlog content now. Now I have to, film this, and then we'll incorporate this into the video. And it's like part of the storyline of, we went out to shoot, but my drone fell. Now I had to go get the drone. It's cool the way that like, people the different video styles that people make, deal with those setbacks, like a drone falling out of the sky. It could be the end of that shoot.
For me, it would be.
Yeah, for you, it might be the end of the shoot. But for somebody like Casey, it's like, okay, this is now content. Now I have to incorporate it into the storyline about how I lost the drone, and then here's the success of what we filmed with it.
Exactly. Yeah.
You have any other collaborations that you have in the works or stuff in the past that you're able to kind of share?
It was cool to collaborate with other automotive content creators like Crispy. I did a few shows with him. As for future stuff, I'm not really sure what's lined up. Probably a lot of local guys. I definitely want to invest more time and just create stuff with them, like passion projects, because we have a lot of local talent here. So it's very cool.
Yeah, Florida's a interesting, fun melting pot of just different talents, people, personalities too. But and the collaboration process, it's so cool, but also it helps the social profiles grow because it's getting other eyes and avenues and markets to look at it too. So when you started with Lamborghini, what was the follower count? Like, did you start from scratch, or did you walk in there with a profile?
So, for example, with their profile, I remember they had maybe like 35K back in the time. But honestly, it was a lot of like ghost followers, like fake bot followers. Well, time happens. We got a new manager. That account, we end up losing it for some reason. So I basically created an account from scratch, from zero, and now it's over 300,000.
That's incredible, man. Congrats.
Which is, I believe, I don't want to say, but I think it might be like, well, at least in North America, probably the second most followed. We're right behind Miami.
That's cool.
Lamborghini Miami, so it's pretty cool.
Does corporate put any emphasis on that for individual dealerships to have their social presence, or is it up to the dealership owners itself, or how does that work?
Well, it is up to each individual dealership, but they do put an emphasis. It wasn't like that in the beginning, but then as, like you said, time went on, they started seeing like, hey, this is something that we need to get on. They started providing like content for dealers to use, but that's kind of boring because it doesn't represent where we are. So the big thing about us is we take cars out, shoot them in Palm Beach, and just show the people, our audience, hey, these cars, we're here. This is local content that we create.
Yeah, you show the lifestyle of owning a Lamborghini versus just the standard Lamborghini corporate pictures.
Correct, which is one thing I wanted to point out. When I first started there was a lot of corporate photos everywhere. Like, just, it's cool, but it doesn't represent where we're at. So if you walk in there now, a lot of the pictures hanging up, it's older pictures of mine, but still cool. Like I have a Mercy in the middle of Witch's Wall.
Oh, that's cool.
Palm Beach Island. And then it's just a lot of local spots. It's pretty cool to
see. Do you feel like that? I mean, I know authenticity is kind of a dramatic word to use, but in a sense too, it's like we're shooting the cars that are at this store, at this location, representing exactly what you're seeing on this page, not something that's kind of corporate filtered through. Do you feel like that has helped grow the followers and kind of the audience to a certain point with the profile?
Absolutely. That and consistency as well. It's just constant shoots, even just stuff shot in front of the store. You just have to take advantage of it. In the terms of like the social media aspect, I remember TikTok is still kind of new in the scene, maybe a few years. But I remember I just started a TikTok for our store, and I even started it. And at the time, Lamborghini Corporate didn't have one. So for a point of time, we had like more followers than corporate, which is very cool.
Yeah.
That's a really cool experience.
Yeah, so now we're, I think, over 600,000 on TikTok.
Oh, wow.
So
that's amazing. And you grew that from 0 to 600?
Yeah, of course.
So you've grown Lamborghini's overall social presence like well over 1 million followers, would you say?
Not quite.
Come on, 600K on TikTok, 300K on Instagram. There's got to be a Facebook. And
okay. Facebook is 341.
All right.
Hey, so there we go.
There you go. Come on, man.
My basic math that adds up to it. Something.
Yeah, I basic math that a little bit.
Yeah, right.
I think it's cool to see. I've been seeing. I stopped using TikTok just because it definitely wasn't good for my brain.
Yeah.
But when I was on TikTok, I was starting to see Lamborghini Corporate get onto TikTok. I was starting to see Lotus get onto TikTok. And it's really funny to see, like, I don't know where they found their social media manager for corporate. Lotus, and I think Lamborghini was doing it too, where it was like definitely like a little bit more like meme style.
That's Lotus.
Yeah.
I was following the trend, and they have, I think they have like over 2 million, I think, but it's like one of the largest car brands that's being followed on TikTok. So good for them.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Your approach doing that, do you try to follow the culture of the shop, or is there kind of dipping into like meme culture a little bit where it's like, oh, this is popular trend going on right now, so maybe we can kind of create some content around that?
For TikTok, sometimes I focus like on the popular soundtracks, music that's being used, but I try to keep everything like in the term professional,
right?
Because
the brand, you got to keep the brand's voice there,
of course. But sometimes I in my back of my head, I'm like, maybe I should throw a meme on here, see what happens, because I see it works so well for Lotus. But as of right now, everything is just pretty much car, cool soundtrack, nothing crazy.
Really, memes, I mean, you were really the person that kind of just showed me, like, this is what memes can do for brands, businesses, and companies if you play it right.
Correct.
Yeah, 100%. We did some work with, I think it was Ferrari, one of the Ferrari dealerships on the West Coast in the past. Okay. And one of the things we were helping them with was like growing their social accounts at the time. And we were using memes and posting it on other, big car accounts like car videos or, big automotive pages on Instagram, having their content posted there to get them, new followers. And we were using like memes, but they had to still all be approved by the dealership and make sure that they were, brand friendly.
Speaking of approval, is there a process when you're managing these pages to post, or you have to create the content, you edit it, and then just have to be approved before posting, or you kind of have a little bit of a kind of an understanding now of what's good and what's not good?
Correct. So over the years, I've learned we have marketing guidelines. So I just create the content, and I already have a good knowledge of what's good to post. And I just post myself. I don't have to wait for an approval process. I just create the content, post myself. Because over the years, you just learn what you can and can't post. Mm-hmm. And obviously, things are always changing, so we always have to stay up to date with the marketing guidelines from Lamborghini.
Are they always revising the marketing guidelines, what you can and can't say?
Yes, I would say so, because of how everything changes, like with social media. Mm-hmm. Now they have a lot of guidelines for that as well.
Interesting.
And I bet with COVID too, there's probably certain things you weren't allowed to show or post, maybe, or maybe.
Yeah, it was a weird time for sure.
Yeah, just like with everything.
Definitely a weird time. Have you? Does Lamborghini Palm Beach do any track days?
Yes, we used to. Now the track is closed, but every year we would do at least like more than 2.
That's
cool.
But
every January it was very cool. Yeah.
How was the experience of going out and shooting those track days?
One memorable experience, because I had my minivan at the time, I strapped up with like a harness.
Oh, nice.
And then out the back, the trunk open on the minivan, and I'm just race cars just right there, one of our Huracan GT3s. And that was a very cool experience, just to film those rollers, because we had some extra time on the track. That was a cool experience.
Do you get nervous doing that, or do you have such the shot in your head where you're like, I'm getting the shot, pull that thing up, I'm hanging outside?
The shot comes first. I've done some crazy things to get shots, so I'm just lucky now I don't have to technically stick my whole body out of a car to do that.
Yeah, because I mean, even like we were talking about before, just like the evolution of just gear and technology. So what was some of the stuff that you were using before, like just starting off with automotive photography and videography to where you are now? I mean, especially talking about like the old gimbal, strap it up with the minivan.
Yeah. Well, the big game changer for me back in the day, like 2015, was the DJI Ronin M, the first gimbal. Lightweight. I still have it because I call it Old Faithful. If anything happens, I'll just pull it out. It still works. Still works. Basically just opening up a side door or sticking myself in the trunk of a sedan and just holding it out with a good monitor, so I'm able to frame up my shot, and that's pretty much a good method, but it's not the safest method. And I have gotten pulled over a few times. Cops, like one cop said, does this look like we're in Hollywood? Well, luckily he was cool.
He was trying to make it look
you look
like
around
we're in Hollywood.
Like, no,
we're in Orlando, sir.
Yeah, right.
But it's just, you always have to be careful and try to avoid getting stopped. Yeah. We're not closing streets.
Yeah, there's been a few times where I've had the shot so just visually in my head, and I'm working with some talent. I'm like, just go stand over there and lean this way and doing this like on top of a parking garage, and then as I'm like looking at the shots, I'm like, the 1% chance like a freak accident could happen. I'm like, that's probably not wise for me to kind of just have this person do all this stuff. But I mean, you live and learn in a sense, and especially now with kind of the evolution of AI, I could just Photoshop all that together.
Of course, yeah.
Have you lost any gear to any rollers?
The only thing I've ever lost was like my glasses. They just flew off.
Oh,
it's
man,
like one of the first times
that's got to be the worst feeling.
Yeah, but we went back and got them. But I've seen some horror like videos online and just seen people's whole camera systems fall.
I just saw a video.
I've seen that. Ooh.
I just saw one the other day. Somebody had a rig, kind of like your rig's set up on the back of your car.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah, it's like an arm.
Somebody had like one of the suction cup rigs to the front, and like on the front, I guess like fender of the car.
Yeah.
And they went over a bump and lost the whole setup. And I don't remember what kind of camera it was, but it was like maybe an FX3. Maybe. It was not like just a regular DSLR. It was a whole rig.
Yeah, and cameras nowadays are very expensive.
So having your glasses fly off, that's
the worst.
Yeah, worst that can happen. So you wear goggles now, right?
Yeah. I don't stick myself out anymore. Like he said, I have a system. It's a Tilta Hydra alien arm. It's a very cool system. It's like one of the first ones that came out. There's like 3 suction cups, and then I have safety straps, and it's just pretty cool. It attaches to my DJI RS2, and that's how the camera basically is outside the car, all wirelessly, so I can remote control it. Have a wireless video feed. It's a pretty cool system.
That's what's up. I mean, even speaking about the glasses falling off, something I found out about you, that you're visually impaired.
Yes.
And you're a visual artist.
Yeah, that's my bio.
Yeah, that's why it rolls off the tongue so well. Was that something that you were born with or kind of developed over the years?
I say like kind of the time when we were hanging out back in the day, I was kind of going through those problems.
Is that when you had did you have to go through surgery, eye surgery
Correct.
too? Dude, I remember that now.
Yeah, 2018, I went through 2 eye surgeries. I had glaucoma and inflammation, and there's actually 2 tubes in each eye that kind of alleviate the pressure, the ocular pressure that's in the eye. And because of the whole glaucoma and then the pressures were so high for like a period of time, I did lose a lot of vision.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, so if you take your glasses off and
No, I mean,
I hold these, I'm just kidding.
I can see. They did 2 surgeries. They did a cataracts. I had cataracts. So they put a new lens in there. So I lost my natural ability to see up close. So my glasses, they have to be that transitional, I believe. So it's like top, I see distance, and then when I look down, I see closer. But I think, this eye, I don't have any peripheral. So if you come here, I can't really see anyone. Sometimes people scare me.
Yeah.
And then this eye, it's funny because this eye, it's I have my peripheral, but I don't have my central focus.
Right.
So this eye, I have my central focus. This eye, I don't. So the way, it's crazy how the brain works to kind of put the image together, and it just gives me like a somewhat clear.
Right now, it uses one eye to focus and one eye to do peripheral, and like kind of blends it together almost.
Yeah.
The human body is insane.
Did that kind of mess with your head a little bit when you kind of found out you're visually impaired, and then the path of being a creative videographer is what you're already on, and you kind of get hit with this news? Did that do anything to your mental?
I try to not let it affect me as much. I just said, hey, this is the cards I'm dealt, so I have to kind of go through the process. And thankfully, I had a good place here, Baskin Palmer. Well, it's one of the best eye institutes. They're the ones who took care of the surgery, and I go every 3 months for checkups. But luckily, everything has been stable. Like, I haven't lost any more vision, which is good. And I just didn't really let it get me down. It might have slowed me down, but I still, do what I do best, I try.
Get back up and keep going.
Yeah, definitely.
Make it work. There's no other option.
Yeah, I know. Do you know Joel Henson? Does that name sound familiar? He's in West Palm. He's a photographer.
I don't think so.
I think he hangs out with Caleb, I believe, but I think he's colorblind, or there's certain colors that he can't see well. Something I didn't know, and he's like one of my favorite photographers in the area. He's got such a cool style. So almost, these cards that were dealt, you're able to really create your own niche and like your own, really your desire to create even more. And it's almost like more gas in your tank.
Exactly. Yeah. Just don't let it bring me down. That's it. Just go out there, keep creating, even though it might take a little bit longer, but just do it, But eye health is important. So make sure everyone gets their eyes checked.
Well, especially, the digital age of looking at your phone, spending on the computer, doing the eye thing, looking through the lens and stuff too. I always try to just do some, I went to the eye just to check up on myself too. And that's the first thing my eye doctor said. She was like, "You are staring at computer screens a lot, aren't you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, why?" She's like, "I could tell that your eyes kind of do this thing where it takes a little bit longer to work and focus and stuff." I mean, apparently I still have 20/20 vision or something like that. Good. Yeah, that was also like a year ago. So we'll see. But your education on your eyes, I bet you probably learned a lot just going through the process too.
You definitely learn a lot. It's a lot of like the schooling they go through. Like it's not easy, I'm sure, but it's very complicated organ. Definitely.
Oh yeah. It's one of the most complicated organs because there's so many moving parts to it, and they all each piece, your cornea, your retina, they all work together to tell your brain what you're seeing.
And the thing that sucks the most is that optic nerve that sends the image. Once you lose vision, from anything, there's no getting it back. Yeah. That's the part that sucks. Yeah.
Did you have to change your editing setup on your computer or anything like that? I know people who've had eye surgery in the past. They've said, just they wear blue blockers in the screen. They have a certain screen protector that's easier on the eyes.
I just noticed, especially with the cataract removal and the new lens, I see a little bit better than I used to before. So I just I just rock the screen like with no glasses because I
Yeah.
can see it a little bit better. But I definitely should try like some just clear blue.
Yeah, I sometimes I love the blue blockers, and then other times they have such a hue and a tint to them. So
Yeah.
I'll be editing some photos, and then I'll do that, or like they'll be kind of falling off my face. I'm like, oh my gosh, they're all completely too warm or too
It
cool.
happens to me. I keep my computer on like night shift,
Oh,
so
yeah,
it's
it's
got
the
so it
worst.
like removes a little bit of blue.
Yeah.
And then I'll like be editing something or like working on an image, and then the next morning it'll turn back on to regular because it like goes off at night. I'm like, oh, those colors are way off.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh my gosh, sometimes I'm like, I'm working too late, or like I'm just not paying attention.
Are you a PC editor or a Mac editor?
Mac.
Mac.
Mac. Yeah.
Chill, bro. Don't look at me like that. You're a Final Cut Pro guy.
No.
No?
I know people are gonna hate, but Adobe. 'Cause
Adobe?
That's what I learned.
Okay,
on
so you use Premiere.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I have tried to dabble with DaVinci, but I need to spend more time on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the same way. You see everyone jumping ship to DaVinci now from Premiere Pro.
Yeah.
And I feel like once Peter McKinnon made that video, I'm like, oh, now it's set. People are jumping to DaVinci. And DaVinci's done so much lately, and especially the stuff for color grading too. I feel like it's like user friendly, but you're so used to kind of your own flow, your own work style and stuff. It's hard to get off the beaten path a little bit sometimes.
And like you said, the whole color correction, color grading, that's something that it's such an interesting world because there's people dedicated out there just to coloring footage, and that's really such an art. But just to learn it, it's very complicated.
Yeah,
I bought courses to learn, but it's always an evolving.
Dude, your color grading's phenomenal.
Thank you.
I try to just expose it right in the camera. I have like a picture profile that I like, so that way I'll be able to dump it in and
Yeah,
just
yeah.
do minor tweaks to just be happy with it. But
Yeah.
yeah, just some of the stuff that people are like, oh, this Wes Anderson themed style thing, I just did this. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Color grading is such an art. Like I've seen, they have like what are they? The boards, with the different
Yeah.
knobs
Yeah.
and the cut. I have I have a friend that does color grading, and one day I like saw his setup, and I was like, I didn't even know that this was a thing. Like I'm just like, oh yeah, boost the exposure. Oh no, I gotta lower the exposure a little bit on
You
this.
see,
one.
like works for NASA. It's like, no, I just
And
color
they're
grade
like
videos.
3 screens with all the boards set up, and I'm like, how did we even end up here?
Does your editing setup kind of look anything like that? Well, I mean, I bet from the beginning. I mean, not even talking about camera gear now, just the laptop, PC, or whatever. What was your editing setup from start to where you are now?
So I've always kind of been a Mac guy. I remember I had one of those plastic white MacBooks, just
Yeah.
the white MacBooks. That was a trooper. I still have it. I don't
The
think it turns on.
OG.
Yeah, just plastic. Like it, yeah, but it did great. I think I would run Premiere on it. I would hook up another monitor to it. It was a trooper. Then I went into like an iMac, a 27-inch iMac with some upgraded internals, RAM and stuff. But once the new cameras came out, the new codecs, it's just harder for older computers to keep up. So currently I'm on a MacBook Pro with the M1
yeah, there you go, the chip.
Max
Yeah.
chip, which now it's like that's night and day difference from the Intel one. It's crazy how the Apple silicone is performing. And then just hook it up to a monitor, and yeah, away I go.
That's really cool. It's funny. That's actually why we switched over to PC for editing. We used to do all of our editing on Mac, and then it was like the quality and the coding that was coming out of the camera was just so strong that like you'd put it into a Mac, or you'd just put it
Hiccups.
into the editing software, and it's like glitching out, and you're spending so much time. And so we moved to a PC, and then once we started doing these like longer form videos shot in 4K with multiple angles, it became such a nightmare to try to edit them. You'd be waiting like 2 minutes for the computer to catch up.
Drag it a little bit, and it's just taking forever to get the frames to load.
Yeah. And then we started upgrading, like the internals, and it's like, oh, by adding a different graphics card, it makes this thing go so much faster. And it's crazy how like the computer technology has to keep up with the video technology, or else like nobody can use the new video technology.
And understanding too. I mean, that's the thing. He makes such a good case about going to PC, and we're back and forth with it. It's like, but you just replace this part, and then you replace that, then you're good.
I'm such like a Mac loyalist, like Mac and iPhone loyalist, but for some reason when it comes to editing, I will never switch back from. Yeah, I'll
but
never switch back
I
from
love
PC.
an airdrop, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
finish
an
something,
airdrop is so
boom, boom.
good, man. I know it's the one thing. I love Mac specifically for that. Like when Devin, who's behind the camera, you can't see him right now. He's smiling, waving at us. Shout out Devin.
Shout out Devin.
He specifically was like, "No, we got to get a PC for editing." I was like, "No, we got to get a nice Mac. We got to get the new MacBook Pro or an iMac." And he's like, "We got to get a PC." And I finally caved, and we did it. And I was like, oh, this makes a lot of sense. You could just upgrade the graphics card instead of buying a whole new computer.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah.
Airdrop.
That was my
The
biggest
easy set, yeah,
that was my biggest holdback was the airdrop. I love airdropping things.
But then you like the Mac Studios are pretty cool, like the little ones.
but also
Which
they
ones are
cost
those?
both your arms and both your legs.
The one that just came out, I think it has like the
Mac Studio Pro, I think that's what it's
yeah,
called, or
Max-
something.
Yeah.
Is that the one that's like the big tower where the wheels are like
No.
$800?
That's the Mac Pro.
Mac Pro.
The Mac Studio is like a smaller version. The only reason they made the Mac Pro is because you can PCI slots and upgrade things here and there. But the Mac Studio but I looked at the price the other day. It's ridiculous.
Dude, it's
I
nuts.
haven't even heard of this.
And
Mac
it's
Studio.
some of it you can kind of make an excuse for yourself that you need it, but then other times you kind of just don't really need it. But you're exactly right. I mean, between like all the programs updating, especially with AI and all these new software features, and then what the cameras are able to do, everything needs to kind of be like an equal balance, or you're going to be spending more time just sitting there looking at a loading screen.
Yeah, and time is, like they say, time is money. You want to be able to knock out edits quickly.
Absolutely. So how important is turnaround time to you when it comes to doing a project?
I try to give clients like a week, but usually I have, like recently I did a med spa shoot for a guy up in Jupiter, a doctor. It's pretty cool. It's just nice to shoot inside of a building instead of sweating outside.
Yeah.
But that turnaround was same day.
Oh,
Yeah.
Wow.
So
That-
it really
that,
depends.
that was a request too. Like we need
Not
this.
really.
Okay.
I just the timing worked out. I
Yeah.
got home, knocked it out. Client's happy.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Do you do a lot of like client work, or is it mostly work for Lamborghini Palm Beach?
My time is just eaten up by Lamborghini Palm Beach, so that's like Monday to Friday. But I try to squeeze in my shoots on the weekend, like personal clients, companies. I've done a lot of work with a wheel company down in Miami. They've actually taken me to like Arizona, Toronto.
Oh, hell yeah.
So it's a lot of cool experience with that company.
Yeah, and that's awesome that you're able, because that's the thing I noticed too, because I've always known you as BAM, Big Apple Magic.
Yes, sir.
Doing any sort of creative visual art project, and then when you got into the automotive, got into Lambo, but still seeing you're able to do your own personal brand. So is that something that they're obviously cool with, and it's just as long as you have the maturity to not make it a conflict of interest?
Correct, 100%. They're very flexible.
Yeah.
There, especially like with my health issues back in the day. That year 2018, I missed like 2 months of work because the downtime for each eye was a month. So
Wow.
January and November, it was
Dude,
tough.
especially being in just the fast pace of social media, you feel like missing 2 days is equal to a week, and a week is a month, and a month is practically a year. So even doing like stepping away from it and coming back to it, it's almost, you have like this weird insecurity of, unless it's just myself, where it's like, am I even gonna have a job coming back in here?
That's why I'm very grateful to them, because they're able to see what I was going through and were able to, cooperate and be there for me. So it's very nice.
So all the other kind of free stuff that you do, is it really anything that kind of comes onto your lap that you just find interest in and you just say yes to? And
Correct. I do have some like limitations. Like I always get asked a lot for weddings.
yeah, no weddings.
No weddings.
I actually have agreed to one recently.
Yeah.
It's coming up in October. But I think I'm going to knock it out with a local videographer.
Nice.
So we'll see. But weddings, it just seems like a lot of pressure. And I don't know if it's worth it,
Yeah,
So we'll
that's
see.
same with me. Weddings aren't really what I like to do, but I like having the opportunity to say yes or no to what comes to my lap as well. Then also when you have friends and relationships that you want to do that for, you have the ability to say yes.
And it's for a friend, actually.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's hard to say no, but
Yeah.
here we are.
We were talking about turnaround time. Do you have a team that works with you to create, to manage the socials and create the content, or is it solely your responsibility?
For right now, solely my
Solely your
responsibility.
responsibility.
So
That makes sense.
I do have a marketing manager next to me. Her name's Bella. She takes care of all like the Lambo marketing stuff. Like I kind of take care of like the fun stuff, with like taking cars out, like sweating,
Yeah.
But she makes sure everything is still on track, where everything's being hit properly, targets, this and that. So we always bounce ideas back and forth. So it's team effort.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because that's always something where it's like in the creative space, especially like Jacob was saying, you take 1 day off, 2 days off, a month off, and it's like it feels like the end of the world. You feel like your whole business is gone. You feel like everything that you worked for is just destroyed in a month.
Or even having that dry season where you're like, I don't really have much going on. You go out of town for a little bit, your phone just gets blowing up. It's like, of course, once I'm out of town.
Yeah. I was asking about that because, like, I know how important delegation, of tasks and editing and different pieces are to, like, the overall, company as a whole. So it's nice to know that, like, they have you to delegate it to, and and like down the line, you can be looked at to help build a team for maybe even Lamborghini corporate or other dealerships. That does the owner of Lamborghini Palm Beach own any other dealerships?
Yes, we're the sole dealership that he owns here in Florida.
Okay.
But he owns a lot of dealerships in Canada, Montreal.
Understood.
Rolls-Royce. He even owns a Ferrari dealership, which is kind of unheard of.
That's taboo.
Because usually when you own one, you don't really own the other.
Right.
But he's a boss,
Yeah,
that's
dude,
cool.
Sounds
that's
like a
really
boss.
cool.
Yeah.
I like that. Have you shot any? I wanted to ask you this earlier when we were talking about shooting cars. You shot any tractors?
We have one in. Yes, I would say so, but it wasn't like a full-on shoot. We have one in the store right now. It's a customer's track, like a 1962 Lamborghini.
Like John Deere? Oh.
Lamborghini.
John Deere.
I'm just kidding. Tractor.
Did you know that Lamborghini started by making tractors?
Honestly, no. I really don't know anything about cars. That's why I'm like.
So quick history. Back in the day, Ferruccio Lamborghini, he was a very successful tractor maker, creator. So he was a very wealthy guy. So he owned Ferraris, and being in Italy, he found Enzo Ferrari, the creator of Ferrari, and said, "Hey, why don't we team up, Lamborghini Ferrari? Because your car has a little issue with its clutch. I know how to fix it." And then Ferrari basically told him, "Hey, go back to building tractors. You don't know about cars."
Oh, wow.
So that kind of gave him a drive to build his own car. And that's when, the Miura and all those crazy cars came about. The Countach, the first car with the scissor doors. Mm-hmm. So it's a very interesting story.
That's dope.
Yeah, the history behind Lamborghini is one that I've always found so fascinating because it really was that story of like, hey, we should collaborate and do something great together. And, Ferrari was like, no, stick to making tractors, and he was like, okay, I will.
And then he made his biggest competing brand,
Yep.
know?
That's
that still lives to this day. And do you know who's bigger as far as like financials go?
Well, Ferrari, I know they become like a public company, so they have to reach certain, targets, and they produce a lot of cars. We're under the Volkswagen group.
Right.
Because over the years, Lamborghini has had some like financial issues, and then they got bought out like a couple times. But right now, I'm not sure like numbers wise, you can't quote me, but I know like with the introduction of the SUV, the Urus, it's taken Lamborghini to like a whole nother level.
Yeah, because it gives consumers a whole different option. It's not just the sports car anymore. Now it's like honestly, a family car. You see a lot of celebrities and individuals driving the Urus as a family car, which I find so cool.
I feel like I see more of that on Palm Beach Island recently too.
I see it like just even on Village, like kind of where I live. I'm like, what the heck?
Yeah.
But it's because it's like we sell so many of them. It's insane.
Yeah. Well, and the price point for them is like just below what you'd spend on a Huracan, or actually probably around what you'd spend on a Huracan.
Yeah.
But you get 4 doors out of it, and it's still got decent amount of horsepower. It got good get up and go.
V8 twin turbo, 650 horsepower. It moves.
It's the same drivetrain as the SQ8, right?
Correct. Yeah. The RSQ8.
I always liked that about Lamborghini, like as Lamborghini is part of the Volkswagen group, is like you have some of that crossover. There's like I don't remember what year it is, maybe like 2009, 2010, an Audi S8 had the same engine as like the Gallardo at the time, and I remember hearing that. Yeah, the V10. Yeah, that's such a nice sounding V10. The Huracan is so distinct. Like we'll be sitting here and you can kind of hear the cars that drive by sometimes.
Yeah,
and like I'll hear a Huracan. It's either a Huracan or an R8, and you hear them go by, and you're like, I know exactly what that car was.
Yeah.
Are you able to do that too when you close your eyes and something goes by?
I try to test myself and see, and not just Lamborghinis, but like anything. I'm like, oh, that's a motorcycle. I'm not too familiar with motorcycles, but you can tell when it's a motorcycle.
Right.
Or like, oh, that's a 350Z with like far cans. It's just fun to, it's what us car guys like to do.
Yeah. It's definitely like a car guy thing to be like, you hear a car in the distance and you're like, that's a R35 GTR, I can tell.
Yeah.
And you're like, I don't know how I can tell, but I
Yeah.
can.
So what are you whipping now?
Right now I have a 2021 Corolla hatchback. A little 6-speed, something fun. It looks like an egg. It looks like I drive an egg. But I just really love the body style of it. I downsized from the minivan because I wasn't really getting a lot of shoots, and I have the arm now, so I just attach it to the Corolla. And within the year, I got it sitting to how it sits now. And I just was out of the scene for a little while because the Accord I had on air suspension, the wheels like this. So it's nice to have a fun car to go to events and
Yeah.
for sure.
Oh my gosh! So having the minivan, do people come up to you like, "Oh, do you have kids?"
Yeah, it's a little sus.
It's
Yeah,
a
you're
little
like,
sus.
No, I'm a video guy, but wait a minute.
Yeah, I do miss the comfort.
Yeah.
They had a little built-in fridge. It was nice.
Oh, dude, would you go to see Exhibit and pimp your ride? That's
Yeah.
dope.
Imagine, but I definitely need another minivan down the line.
Yeah, I mean, I had a minivan as a rental, and they're like apologizing about it. They're like, "I'm sorry," and I'm like, "Oh, how dare you guys?" I'm like, "Hell yeah, it's gonna be
I
fun."
got swivel seats
yeah,
in the
dude,
back.
I got in there, whipped that thing. It's fun.
You had the little buttons, the side door opens.
Yeah.
Dude, exactly.
So cool. Like when I would
Luxury.
shoot a car, just open it up so easy right there. Boom.
That's what Lambo needs, a minivan.
Yeah,
Series.
they should, right?
A minivan. I mean, that's kind of what the Urus is, but not a minivan.
Well, it's crazy just seeing all like the just van lifestyle kind of come about too.
Yeah.
And even like as a touring musician too, I know so many people look for Ford Transits, but also some other people have to look into the Mercedes vans because
Sprinter vans.
Yeah, Sprinter vans because I know this one particular band that they're too tall. They're a bunch of tall people, so they're like, this is the only comfortable thing for us to kind of travel in.
Of course.
Oh yeah.
Does Lamborghini look at modifying cars and making, kind of like a Lamborghini your own better than Ferrari?
Well, in the terms of like the aftermarket world, like
Yeah, like is the
modifying a
after
Lamborghini,
Yeah.
because we are corporate, it's kind of frowned upon. We try not to we don't really advertise it because that's we have our Lamborghini has their own selection of accessories that are authorized from Lamborghini, so that way clients still have their warranty. We have titanium exhaust, different types of wheels, things like that. But when someone it's cool, like I personally dig it, but after seeing so many stories like at work, if I own the Lambo, I'm gonna keep it like it's
On
as
stock.
is. Exactly
Yeah, because I wouldn't want to avoid a warranty.
that, and also like the resale value. You
that
start
makes sense.
doing stuff and you're not gonna get what you think.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. I recently saw Alex Choi did like an exoskeleton on his Lamborghini. Did you see
Yes,
that?
I think so.
On his Huracan. It's crazy. Or he did a video the other day where it was like a 4th of July video. He's driving it through the desert doing donuts while getting shot at from a helicopter with
Yeah.
like Roman candles.
Oh, yeah,
and I'm
yeah,
like, Lamborghini's probably looking at this going, that's not good for the brand. But in the back of their heads, they're probably like, this is really cool.
Well, Lamborghini is the type of brands like you could do anything with their cars really, but there's a very clear point in history when Ferrari kind of sent a cease and desist to a certain DJ, Deadmau5, when he had a 458. He completely wrapped it and changed the logos to a cat and called it a Ferrari.
Oh, so that's probably what did it for the whole cease and desist letter, where he like
Correct. So
tampered the logo and the name.
Correct. So Ferrari did not like that at all. It was his car, so he should be able to do what he wants.
100%.
But Ferrari's the type of brand that they don't really play that.
Ferrari's also the type of brand where it's like whenever they have a new, like a new exclusive car come out, like the LaFerrari came out in, what was it, 2013,
Yes.
something like that. You couldn't, like, even if you had the $4 or $5 million cash to go buy a LaFerrari, you couldn't go to the dealership and buy one.
Correct.
You'd go there and you'd say, I want one. And they'd say, well, you're going to have to buy, why don't you buy this, California first? Or why don't you buy this 458 first? Because they want you to have like a history or a relationship with them first.
It's like you have to kind of be invited to
Yeah.
purchase it, which is crazy.
Is that similar to Lambo, or is it just you kind of come in and?
It's not really similar. Obviously, the one-off cars like the Countach, the Scion, those are a little bit harder to get, over $1 million cars. But like the normal cars, Huracan, Aventador, they're more easily accessible to people.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could go spec one of those cars out brand new from the factory and have it delivered. Whereas like a LaFerrari, even though it was a pretty high production piece, it was not. They had to select you to purchase it.
Yeah.
What's the new? I forgot the Staccato. No, it's not the Staccato. What's the?
Sterrato.
Sterrato.
It's sick.
The
yeah.
off-road Lamborghini.
Yeah. We have a few on order.
Do you?
Any day now we should be getting them. So it's like a lifted Huracan with like wide fenders and
sick.
big
Pretty cool.
tires.
So when you know those things are coming in, are you kind of already doing the pre-production process of like how to kind of capture the content? Are you storyboarding it? Do you bounce it off some ideas with corporate?
Yeah, actively looking for locations to, something rugged to take the car. That's pre-planning,
Yeah.
But as for contact with corporate, not really. We kind of take care of everything in-house. But like when it comes to like the bigger stuff with like influencers, we always like to make sure it works with corporate because it's a bigger audience.
Right. Aligns with the brand. That kind
Yes,
of
of
makes
course.
sense too.
Yes.
I'd like to propose something for the Serato.
Yes, what you got?
Let me come there, drive one, and jump it
Jump it. Where?
somewhere.
No, I don't
Golf course. Off
Yeah,
the back nine.
That's a little sus. It would be sick. It would be views, but I don't know.
No,
Jump it. Unless we can convince one of the owners to
Oh,
accept.
that would be. So I have this guy that I follow that is he has one on order.
Okay, cool.
And he's saying that's the first thing that he's gonna do.
Oh, wow.
The second he gets it, he's gonna jump it. I'm like, that's pretty ballsy.
Have you seen some crazy shit like that where someone gets the car for a particular idea? I mean, since content and just going, and I mean, I don't want to say going viral, it's just like a coin term, but I mean, it seems like people kind of are attracted to these things to kind of get these particular moments other than people who are like, this is something I've always wanted and to achieve. And
I
this is
worked
something
hard for it,
exactly.
yeah. Not really. That's more of like the crazier areas, But like you mentioned, Alex Choi, like what he does with his cars. I mean, it makes sense for him because that's how he earns his money with the views. And so the crazier stuff you do, yeah. But no, most clients, some cars, it's unfortunate. Some cars may sit, people just leave them. They just collect them. Other people, they drive them, and then in a few months they switch out of them. So we have, but nothing that crazy. No.
Are you involved in the relationship and kind of the sales process too at all with a client kind of coming in and wanting something particular?
Well, since I'm kind of the only one up front in the office area that speaks Spanish, I have.
There we go.
I have helped out a few sales in that. So yes, but I usually no.
Okay.
It's just if they need me, then I'm there to translate and kind of help them with the deal. But other than that, it's they take care of it.
Do a lot of people kind of come in and say, I saw this on Instagram. Where's this particular car?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like
Yeah.
That's why we always post our pre-owned, our Selezione. That's what Lamborghini calls it. Cars on Instagram, and that kind of gets a big buzz going. Especially like the cool colors.
Yeah, and that's something I think we spoke on it earlier about. Like Lamborghini just has the coolest colors, and they just pop so much when you see them, on social.
I was going to was it? Oh, of course. AI. Have you used any programs to kind of help your process with just creating visual?
Honestly, I have not, but I am tempted to look into it.
Really?
To see, yeah, especially like I see like in Photoshop, they have the AI fill generation. But I haven't really messed around with it. I'm kind of scared. I don't know.
It's pretty convenient. Some people are throwing their hands up already saying we're out of jobs, we're losing.
Yeah.
Other people are using it to their advantage. I mean, even the other day I took a photo of something and I wanted something very clean taken out, so throw it into the new AI Photoshop, circle it, remove in seconds.
Wow, I need to try that.
Dude, that's what I'm saying.
Some of the tools that have come out are pretty wild. I think we were telling you before we sat down, we used one called Autopod for like these episodes now, where it cut 4 hours of, individually chopping clips into 3 minutes. Click one button, chops the whole thing. We've used, like Jacob was saying, the AI for, Photoshop. It's just pretty wild, like what those tools can do. But, you mentioned it getting rid of people's jobs. I think it'll be the people that will survive and be successful with it are the people that know how to use the tools. I don't think it's actually coming for anybody's job.
No, but I mean, that's the thing. Even when the automotive car was invented and people were like throwing their hands up already, just saying like, oh, it's just no one likes change, especially when it comes to technology and the revolution of that being said. But ChatGPT also is another really GPT. I always mix those up, but Chat GPT. Those are always good to use too, because I mean, even setting something up with here, just typing in what you want and a little bit of a prompt. Give me 5 different examples of Instagram captions for a bright blue car, and usually some of them are very corny and cheesy, something a little bit cringy at times, but it's a good starting point, because sometimes, I mean, you probably experienced it too, just being creatively fried and you're staring at it like, I got to think of a good caption that I didn't use before that's kind of appropriate for this image.
What helps a lot when I have trouble trying to think of a caption, because we have a lot of Lamborghini literature, like magazines and books.
That makes sense.
I just flip through it and I'm like, oh, that's perfect.
Oh, that's an approved tagline. We're good to go with that.
Exactly.
Brand approved. I don't even have to get it approved.
I didn't even think about that. Probably just some like the vintage photos back in the day are probably sick too.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of stuff out there.
So shooting as much digital as you do, have you had just the itch to do anything with film?
I have a little bit of experience. I took a film course in community college, and it was very cool to like take and develop. I have some that I've taken. I think I have like a little Canon 35 millimeter, but it's definitely something I want to, because I see other people doing it more and more often. So it's definitely something I want to try to do more myself.
I'm going to propose something to you now too. Now it's my turn. Any vintage line, any sort of reissue. Again, I don't really know cars, but we'll get a Super 8 camera, film it all on film, do some sort of old school promo, and all I ask is to be there.
Yeah, I think that's
done.
The gears
Easy.
are turning.
Got the deal, and then we jump it over a bridge.
Okay, I was gonna say yours seems a lot more realistic than mine. I'd still like to.
And then we
jump
Evil
the
Knievel
Strata.
that bitch and just fly it over a bridge.
1986 Countach over the bridge.
Exactly.
No, but that's actually not a bad idea, because we do get a lot of vintage cars sometimes.
Yeah.
The tractor that we have. So it'd be cool.
And there's something I've just seen with film too. My wife was always kind of saying like, try film. And I'm like, no, because this has always been kind of a tool to bridge brands and ideas. Bridge brands to the general public with the ideas. These were just all tools. And film I wasn't really familiar with it. It kind of just seemed like it was more just spending.
It's expensive.
And I feel like I was just a little bit like wasting my time, but in a sense, dude, it's just the same thing. You pick up the camera wanting to just film yourself doing magic, and then just opportunities present itself more and more, and then you don't even realize you're having fun and you're learning at the same time too. So I've been have a little point and shoot camera with me always, and I just rattle off some shots, but I feel that nostalgia never goes out of style. And I feel like that, especially with social media and how fast everyone is in the sunken place just scrolling, it sometimes stops people in their tracks too. So something as nice and colorful and pizzazz as Lambos are, doing something on a Super 8 video camera would be sick.
It could be really cool to like find, like archived footage of like the old Countach
factory.
Yeah, like even either in the factory or like old ads for the Countach, and recreate that's like the exact same like shot for shot with period correct cameras, but on the newer.
On the
Countach.
newer,
The newer
that's
Countach
dope.
could be really cool.
I've just been itching to do something with that new Countach.
Yeah.
It was so cool when it came in a big crate. It was flown in
I
from
forgot
Italy.
they all come in don't they all come in crates, right?
No, just like the specialty, like
okay.
cars. Big crate. The whole team came in to take it all
That's
apart.
cool.
And that was a very cool moment to catch. And I think that video did pretty well on our Lamborghini Palm Beach YouTube. I think over like 300,000 views. So that's pretty good.
What are the stats there on YouTube?
Nothing crazy,
okay.
but I think like getting close to like 5,000 subscribers.
That's
but
great.
YouTube's always tough to grow. Yeah,
Slow.
long.
The
Shorts help out a lot.
Oh yeah, and well, especially now they lowered the barrier of entry to monetization for YouTube. I don't know the exact stats, but I think they're really putting an emphasis on YouTube Shorts and uploads too, because of being a little TikTok competitor.
And then, do you remember Instagram was doing the monetization for the was it Reels?
And then
Reels
they
bonus.
and then they kind of
Yeah.
took it off.
They took it away.
Yeah. But now they're
So
doing Instagram broadcasting, I believe.
I haven't seen that one.
Just something I read. I mean, I try to every Friday. I follow a couple different media gurus that kind of talk about what's new and exciting in the digital space, and of course Threads right now too. Do you have any sort of game plan with Threads, or that you're just kind of experiencing with?
I just created one like a day ago. Just maybe post some behind the scenes stuff, or just more of a conversation, but just right now, just to have fun with it, you know, not to be too serious, like, you know, to see where it goes.
Yeah, that's the best piece of advice, and that's the advice you gave me when we sat down and talked, like, social media. Just have fun with it. Don't take it too seriously.
That's the whole point. Now, for something like that, I'm always curious because I'm like on the, you know, agency side, like we work with all kinds of different brands. Is there a huge process for you? Like a new feature comes out like Threads, where technically it's a new platform. Do you have to go through like a huge approval process or pitch it to Lamborghini corporate before you're allowed to, you know, make a new account basically?
In that aspect, no.
Okay.
For example, TikTok, I just created it, Lambo Palm Beach, and then Lamborghini corporate followed suit, you know. So for certain things, you don't really have to go to corporate, but I feel like Threads is more of like for like the personal image, and I don't really think it suits, you know, Lamborghini Palm Beach. I might change my mind down the line, but as of right now, I'm just gonna stick to the main one.
That's what I was gonna say. Do you have to have like this balancing act between your own personal brand and Big Apple Magic compared to Palm Beach Lamborghini?
Of course, yeah, definitely. I mean, it's cool because the content that I get from work, I'm able to use it on the personal side. But then I realized that a lot of my followers, they could really care less about exotic cars because I built it on like, you know, the normal modified cars. But I still post it here and there, and it's just good to have the content. Yeah.
Makes complete sense. I noticed a lot of the people that are really into like, you know, lowered cars, stance cars, you know, like the modified car scene, don't really care much about the exotic scene. You know, they don't treat it the same way. They'd rather look at, you know, like an R34 or you know, a Silvia and be like, oh, this is so cool, versus like a Lamborghini. They're like, that's cool.
It's just weird how that you know, people are, but it's you have to kind of appreciate everything. Everything is art. But just though, like for example, I'm a big fan of on the bucket list. I really want to go to a show in Japan, just to see, because that's kind of where everything originated, and their level of attention to detail over there is just way beyond like what we have over here.
Yeah,
so it's very cool.
Go to like a Bozazuku show or
something crazy.
Yeah,
or the Tokyo Auto Salon every like January. That's like on the bucket list.
That's cool.
What else is on your bucket list? It could be automotive or unrelated.
Well, I've been to SEMA because I was working it, but I would like to go back again. That's always a fun one. Just hit up more shows. Hawaii, you know, has great shows. Puerto Rico has great shows. But just try to travel more, get back into the whole like travel and create an after movie from it. So going back to New York, California, it's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, no, I can relate to that. I've always wanted to kind of do something that's very high ticketed, high profile. If it's just like some big boat, a yacht, a nice car, something like that. And I've always wanted to kind of do something with like a high profiled athlete. Okay. Just like those are two things, and I'm just throwing it out there now. Manifestation, it happens sometimes.
Oh, speaking of boats, it's cool. We have a little model of the Technomar for Lamborghini 63. It's like a special boat that Technomar, the Italian C Group, which is Technomar, they teamed up with Lamborghini to make, and they're only making 63. And it's pretty cool. The first one that was delivered was to Conor McGregor, and we had a part in selling that to him, which is cool.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that because I think I saw they had one listed on the site. I don't know if it was that boat, but I have seen the Conor McGregor one, and I think I saw Rick Ross on it one recently. Yeah,
that's the other person I was thinking of. Rick Ross and Skrillex did that song, Purple Lamborghini.
Correct.
Lurkin.
And I know a lot of private, high-profile people come through there and purchase and kind of do any networking. Is there any stories that you're able to share or?
You know, we get like the occasional YouTubers come in that I realize after the fact, and then you know we also have a good amount of influential or celebrities or athletes. So it's definitely very cool. Because they're just living a normal life.
Yeah, exactly. Between those people and then just the regular people that kind of come in there that have exactly worked and wanted this something for their life, and that's the thing too. I'm not really into cars and never really got it until I got to talk and understand a little bit more how they're just so much more to it rather than just the quote unquote shiny object that people kind of just write it off as.
And like with the whole introduction of like the electric cars now, it's they've been around for a while, but it's not the same. You need that engine sound, you need that soul. Speaking, because you mentioned to me earlier about the Rimac, Nevera. That was a cool experience. One of the more cooler shoots I've gotten to do. That car was on tour here, and we got a sick mansion in like West Del Rey. It's like 32 million, I forgot, and it was just a very memorable thing. I even have pictures because we shot rollers of it going to Palm Beach, and my little Corolla was filming this like $2 million.
That's so cool.
That was a very cool
Yeah, I
experience.
think that was the world's fastest car for a little bit.
It's the world's fastest production electric car.
Okay.
Yeah, currently, I believe.
I think it does 0 to 60 in like 1.8 or something like
Yeah.
that. It's like
Yeah.
a spaceship.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
That's fast.
It's very fast. Scary
wild.
fast.
Yeah, my
Have you seen people purchase cars in crypto at Lamborghini Palm Beach?
We get asked so often,
my
Yeah.
gosh.
but we do not accept crypto.
Okay.
Yeah. I know it's like the way of the future, but there's some dealers that I believe do, but it's a dealer by dealer basis. We don't accept.
We had a meeting with somebody from Sotheby's real estate recently that's like in their luxury real estate division, and they were telling us that they had to get, I don't know if it's like a real certification, but that they do crypto transactions now, or that they're certified to do them.
Wow.
So that they can sell houses using, Ethereum or Bitcoin.
Wow.
Yeah.
Seems a little.
seemed like I missed a lot since I went to the bathroom.
No, not much. Not much.
Oh man. I'm trying to think where we're at. We're like an hour, right?
About an hour 40.
Hour 40.
Are you looking at-
I looked at my notes. I've asked everything I wanted to ask.
Me too.
Think of anything else I can.
You want to ask me something? I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
You want to interview us?
Yeah, how's life?
Life's good, man. It gets tricky sometimes,
Yeah.
but there's some up and downs. But I'm more just stoked that we're able to reconnect, dude. It's been too long.
Has been. We have to do another short film together.
Dude, I know. I'm dude. You need an actor. You need anything. I'm always about it.
I'll act in the short film. I acted in one of Jacob's recent music videos.
Yeah?
For him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he was our manager. I wrote a song called "Who You Know." It's who you know to get by in life and stuff,
Yeah,
and then the
it's
whole
about who you know.
Exactly, it's who you know. So the whole concept really was my band in the studio, and Sal put on a suit, and then he was kind of acting like he's like, you got to do this to appease social media and this and do all these things, and I bought like these cheap banana costumes from Walmart, of course, and then he like holds it up, we're all like wearing it, looking like that, and then I bought a breakaway bottle and just smashed him over the head with
yeah,
it, and
that's
that's
always
kind of how it ends. Oh yeah.
So do you want to? I think it's a good point to wrap.
Yeah, I'm
My
cool with
only
it.
thought is, do you want to figure out a way to roll in? We can, or like roll into the exit of the podcast, and then we can edit it together from like a
Yeah.
before you jumped out.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say you can keep that whatever. I don't know if you guys were still talking or not.
Yeah, we were. Oh yeah,
Two
absolutely.
things. Yeah.
Yeah.
We chatted about a couple things.
Let me just look at
Yeah, go for it.
something real quick to see if I can transitioned this out.
You know, a little movie magic,
Yeah. Right.
little editing magic.
And Devin's like, fuck you guys. Oh, there's one question. Devin wants to know, do you do cold plunges and what's your morning routine?
Not yet. No cold plunges, but I do wake up at 4 a.m. in the morning.
Fuck yeah.
So it's started taking health more serious this year. So it's been a nice change.
When you go, so what time do you go to bed if you're getting up at 4
Like
in the morning?
9:30, pushing it. Yeah, but I'm already tired by that time. Yeah.
Oh really? Yeah. That's the thing, because everyone's just like, how do you get up at 4 in the morning? So go to bed earlier. And
Exactly. It
And they're
makes
like,
a
well, I
big
can't go to bed at 9. It's like, well, if you get up at 4 a.m. and start your day by 9, you are going to be tired.
Exactly. Yeah.
I got 2 questions that we could ask real quick.
Okay, go.
Ladies and gentlemen, producer Dev.
Number 1. Lean in, come on. What would you say is like your biggest tip for someone who wants to get into videography, shooting cars or whatever else?
That's a great question, and I always get asked a lot like about gear, what I shoot with, but the most important thing is to shoot with what you have. Like nowadays, like even just your phone is so capable, and I'll be honest, like a lot of the real stuff that I do for work for Lamborghini, it's on my phone, and I notice that's what performs the best, because when I spend time and I make something crazy with my camera and gimbal, it's not going to perform that well. Definitely that, attend local car shows or kind of visit like car events that in your area, local area, and just go out there and shoot, meet people, speak to car owners, because they might say, hey, after the show or next week, let's meet up and do something. It's just getting the content, trial and error, and just seeing what works. getting inspiration from other people. There's great guys in Australia that I follow that are killing it, and it's just always
Who are they? Is it North Borders?
North Borders.
Yeah,
I follow
he's
him.
dope. He's
great.
super dope. North Borders, Seventh Era.
Seventh Era.
Yeah.
In the automotive world, we have a Dated. He's really good. A Harnett Media, which is a really talented guy. I think he travels a lot to Japan, which is sick. But yeah, it's just watching stuff, kind of getting pointers, but also coming up with your own style. And don't get caught up on the whole reels, crazy edits, transitions. It's cool, but try to focus. My biggest recommendation: try to focus on the long form media, because YouTube is kind of where it's at. It's always,
Yeah, no, that's killer advice, especially with just the way social media and content is now. Even going back to film, you don't need the newest, fanciest gear. I mean, if you're able to kind of clearly communicate the idea in your head and make it come to life, you're already right on the right track.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then even just being out in the community, showing face as much in real life on digital too is so important. And especially people have this I get it, you need to make money.
Yeah.
I get it, time is money, and time is something you can never get back. But really showing that you're passionate and you're caring about it, and not just chasing a dollar bill. So if someone invites you over to see their private car collection, that could lead into way more opportunities.
Exactly, yeah, because I always notice after I do a personal vehicle shoot and just post it, that's when I get contacted. Hey, how much do you charge for this? How much? Because it gets in people's face, like, hey, this guy shoots. So it work comes from it. So yeah.
Got one more?
What was your most favorite car that you've ever shot?
Oh, that's a tough question. There's just been so many over the years, so many.
Could be least favorite too. We start there and go up.
No,
I'm just kidding.
I mean, I've shot a lot of cars like in Miami. Just the most memorable is that crazy hypercar, the Rimac Nevera, which is like no one else has really ever seen that car, so that was very cool. But as for like, normal cars, like any GTR was always sick. On the bucket list, I still need to shoot a GTR that shoots flames. So if there is one, please, I want to do like a cool nighttime
R34,
video.
R35,
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 or R30.
Oh man, in South Florida, I guarantee it's got to be easy to find a GTR that shoots.
Yeah,
flames.
I know. I just have to.
We're manifesting it. We're putting it out there.
I did shoot a very cool RX-7 back in the day. He shot flames, which was very
That's
cool in
cool.
Orlando. So that was a very cool shoot as well. One of my memorable ones. Yeah.
That's very fun. So before we wrap up today, is there anything that you'd like to plug? Anybody you want to shout out? Anything you'd like to say? That camera is yours.
Well, look out for my upcoming projects. If you're in the South Florida area and you need anything shot, automotive or something else, you know how to reach me. And shout out to my barber, Miguel Rodasuki. I shot his Samurai Suzuki, and it's just a very sick build with a 13B like rotary engine. So yeah, shout out to him, and yeah, shout out to everyone. Thank you guys for
Dude,
having
a
me.
shout out to
Absolutely.
you, man.
Yeah, for
It's
real.
been fucking awesome.
Where
Thank
can
you
the
guys.
people find you?
Mostly on Instagram, Big Apple Magic. I'm always on there. YouTube. I need to get my vlogs going back up.
I
That's
remember
fun.
those series, yeah.
But those are my main everything Big Apple Magic. You'll find me. Yeah.
Big Apple Magic.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much for coming on
Thank
the
you guys for
SMO
having
show.
me.
A magician coming to
Absolutely.
you soon. Ha ha.
Wait, hold on. Yeah, wait. You ready? All right, now let's all leave.